I plan to swing away from our recent series of meaty episodes and tackle one matter that interests me. It's a thought that can, if unchecked, branch and extend wildly, sparking dozens more questions, but we can be disciplined and look at those another time. I want to look at the foundations of what much of the world labels, and almost certainly overuses, as groupings left and right. With its late 18th century French origins, following their moderate to severe street disturbances and changing governance, splitting people into left and right wings has never been simple, nor indeed really possible, given the labels have grown to span people's views on money and employment, culture and the family, war, art and innovation, and these rarely overlap consistently. But we might very generally sum up the left as interventionist and of the group, and the right as free markets, dog eat dog, and of the individual. Both lay claim to freedom, but almost no one truly holds either worldview in pure absolute terms, so we exist somewhere in the middle and bicker, fight, mislead and redefine categories and terminology without end. The right, let's say those who like to allow the markets to decide, and indeed those who look with reverence to yesteryear to see what those markets gave us, and perhaps the God-fearing nuclear family, and the left, who'd want to see the riches of the winners redistributed by decree of powerful government, and who see the community and that same government as a sprawling family substitute. What if all teams actually had the same dream, the same ambitions for our society? If it's merely the method they prefer to get us there that differs, could they form an alliance? What if we tried to distill what a decent person wanted to see improve in their lifetime and afterward? I'll give it a go. First, to reject barbaric vestiges of our prehistory and gradually replace them with cultural norms the current population deem fair and proportionate, incrementally, not in a knee-jerk, and resistant to reactionary policies flip-flopping from era to era. Second, to create a safety net for the unfortunate while simultaneously leaving the path clear for others to strive for development, creativity and innovation. This allows both to search for fulfillment, whatever that may realistically look like for them, and in combination making an enviable future possible for those who follow. Some fundamentals are tricky to agree upon, even before we swing left or right. Should we take action now to eventually help life on Earth escape the planet's inevitable destruction? Are there rulebooks possible to outline absolute ethics, or must we write our own in each uncertain step in human history? People certainly tried to codify ancient moral standards in religious books, only to find that many of us centuries later don't think much of them. Absolutes of the intangible rarely age well. One tangent only slightly dodged that. You'll probably have noticed that the wind had just started to push smoke straight into my face, so apologies for that. I've repositioned myself, and I was going to say that one tangent there had only just been slightly dodged, so we are going to stick with those first two aims and push on with how the left might orientate themselves to try and work all that out. Well, they may legislate, regulate, encourage social constraints to stop bad people doing bad things, and to stop oblivious people from haphazardly making a comparable mess of their own lives, others' lives, and the world around them. The speed at which you do all this and the consequences for those who do bad things and do get caught out are for discussion, perhaps with those on the opposite side. These people would need a plan for the second part too. The safety net is straightforward in principle. You redistribute resources via large organisations that take care of universal healthcare, education, food security and so on. The quality of those services have been proven to be a question mark when attempted in practice, and so again perhaps a moment to consult with those on the right. As you can see, the fire did it again, and so I've moved again. Anyway, a left-winger would need to allow freedom for innovation. That would mean regulatory restraint, pushing against their instinct to control, standardise and limit runaway success and private accumulation of resources. But their liberal streak would surely find a place to allow new things, and not solely in the arts. Toughest for the left would be to encourage new technologies to transform domestic lives or create new industry without their foot repeatedly tapping on the brake pedal. This may be a stretch of my own creativity to make it fit, but perhaps it's through collectivist fervour in delivering public services that might see the left-wing brain take pride in the thrusting ideas put forward by innovative mavericks. Now the right. First, to end evil and the cruel instincts of the few, or perhaps even the many. Some acts of savagery like torture may be clear-cut to abolish, but edge cases might need to be tackled in a way so that the solutions endure, and not leaving the door open for wasteful reversals each election. Whilst the right often balk at intervention, they do rather enjoy tough enforcement of the justice system. So whilst all these rules may be tough to swallow, you may rely on the right-winged folk to make sure transgressors of those rules are found and punished, and not placed in an open prison with gardens and fairground rides. The urge to act on impulse and risk overreach and mistake isn't coded to either camp here, so they'd have to think ahead with some unity to find enduring methods to stem the worst urges of the human animal. Matters like borders and religion are inevitable sources of conflict, so our hypothetical coalition of left and right must keep referring back to the two aims of our decent person. And how might the right consciously approach the balance of keeping the unlucky from oblivion whilst making sure we move sure-footedly forward, progressing and building on the work of our forebears and facilitating natural incentives to do so? Well, by recognising our multifaceted nature and that Snakes and Ladders is no mere board game, a right-winger could make a case to hold back some resources from those that they might deem as more deserving, life's strivers and winners, to keep others with a tougher start healthy and afforded opportunity. Why? Because that individual who would otherwise perish or remain buried in the misery of poverty might within them hold the key to the next giant leap forward. No true meritocrat free from insecurity would deny society their gifts. Also that whilst our right winger may be a winner in one or two marketplaces now, life's vagaries and misfortunes are far from just, and tomorrow they may, or someone close to them, might really need a leg up or a temporary ledge to sit on courtesy of the wider community, the state perhaps. This hypothetical new world relies on one vast assumption, it being that everyone with a political mind, so interested in society and governance and perhaps motivated, can seek these two aims without corruption or giving in to the ancient urge to themselves prevail. By merely paying basic attention, we know this is the real barrier. We've seen how hells on earth result from high-minded people's manifestations and their enforcements of their utopia. But my point is not that the right and the left want two different worlds. I doubt many do, save for a handful who either through resentment want a winner-takes-all or a flat, homogeneous hellscape. I think most with a temperament leaning left or right simply feel an instinct that their path is the most just or the most probable. This is worth more thought in how alliances may be forged across the floor. It's surely more realistic and more interesting than looking to so-called centrists or moderates. To me, it's baffling to see how those earnestly purporting to be in the centre operate, in tripping over their own arguments with equal measures of contradiction and equivocating muddle, and generating little save for blandness and inaction. People who channel a passion in a wonderful or dangerous idea rarely do so from the middle. Name me a media tycoon or a serious political operator of any sort who is neutral. Those claiming to be so are probably more capable of being the nefarious ones. So, whilst the concepts of left and right are reductive and have been squashed into odd shapes by centuries of politics and are prone to obfuscation, we're stuck with them for now. Let's try and understand their deeper motivations and work with them.